I noticed when I was doing the research on you, you were in recovery comedy, and if you wouldn't mind sharing your story about that, because personally, I mean, we're both creators, and it's weird when you're an artist to any degree. It's almost like you need a 13th step to get out of addiction, because there's this it like becomes a part of your persona. Like when I go outside to have when I talk on the phone or I drive, that's like my cue. I need to have a cigarette. When I sit down to write or edit something, it's like that's my cue to do this vice that I've chosen or that vice. And it's almost, it becomes so like a part of it. And especially when you're a stand-up comedian, I've seen it with a lot of stand-up comedians where it becomes a part of their persona in general that they project to the public.
Right.
So
I was definitely the junkie comic. You know, I did very hard drugs for a long time. Now I'm 16 years clean and sober.
Congratulations.
You know, which is a long time to go without a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Weed is my drug of choice, and I could not imagine. Really drug, but it's my vice of choice, and the first few days are I applaud anybody that, because I have a very addictive personality, so anybody that can kick a habit is just amazing to me. The strength. How did you navigate that with your audience, or maybe what you projected onto your audience as far as what they expected?
Well, I found that near the end of my using, I was just a mess. I was a mess. And I found that after I got clean, that if you're engaging the audience and you're clear-headed, you do a much better job, because you can react immediately. You're not all sluggish or all doped up or all drunk, or just it got to the point where it was interfering with my stand-up. So I was able to get clean in 2005, but I had been trying to get clean for 20 years before that. So I'd be bouncing in and out of rehabs and, going to jail and all sorts of bad stuff. It's not a good life. I don't recommend it. And a lot of heroin addicts don't last as long as I have. They tend to have a pretty low mortality rate. They go in the 20s and 30s. So,
I commend you on that. Let me ask you this, because like you said, you've been trying to get clean. I know it's not one of the questions we have, but since you opened it up, let me ask you this. Is that really what really made you turn it around, when it was really affecting with your career and you had to make a decision, what's more important, my habit or my craft? Is that what really ultimately? Okay.
I also had to come to the realization that if I didn't do something, I was going to die. Mm-hmm. Near the end, it was that bad. I had done a TV series where I had a lead, which was very cool. And I was so messed up at the time, my work is just unwatchable. It's just, I can't watch it. Then again, the whole show is unwatchable. It was called Black Scorpion, and it was on Sci-Fi for a year. We did 22 episodes.
Black Scorpion. I thought I noticed that in your credits, where it looked like something that would have been on Cinemax almost from the cover of it. Am I thinking of the right?
I think you're thinking about something else.
Well, we did two films first. We did Black Scorpion 1 and Black Scorpion 2. Then we did Black Scorpion the series. And in the first one, I had a small part. I was a day player. And excuse me, I had worked with the director in other films, and he kind of let me go a little bit. And in the second film, I was a lead. So, and then I was one of two characters who were carried over from the film into the series. So we did, like I said, we shot from March all the way to April. All the way to December. We shot from March to December. And we had August off. In August, my disease got way out of control. My habit got huge, and I wasn't really able to do the job. And that's one of the big regrets. And that was also one of the big wake-up calls for me, that I just couldn't work that way anymore. Now, I've never done a film where I was loaded, but I did do that series, very loaded.
A little bit of drugs would have probably helped with Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
But
that's how I got made.
Addiction is, I mean, I think a lot of people get into something like naively thinking that they can control it. Like, even if something is smoking cigarettes, I always said when I started smoking, because everybody, you know what people say, like, just don't start and then you won't have to worry about quitting. Just never pick them up. And I'm like, I'll stop when I stop enjoying them. It's not that easy. I haven't enjoyed a cigarette in 10 years. And even as I'm saying cigarettes, it's triggering something in my brain. I want to go outside and have a cigarette. It's like,
is that right?
Yeah, it's habits. Like, I don't care how much willpower you have. Habits are a challenge to kick to one degree or another. And it's God, kids out there, just don't start. Don't start, and then you don't have to stop.
Right, which is easier said than done. I mean, I was into being a junkie at one point. I dug the aura of being a junkie. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody else was like snorting coke. It was weird. Like, you could go backstage and there'd be an 8-ball of coke on the mirror and nobody would bat an eye. But you do this much heroin and you're a drug addict.
Those are the 80s, right?
Yeah, 80s, early 90s. My life has been blessed. I have had a great life. I mean, I've seen the dark side of it and I've seen the light side of it. And through it all, there's always been humor. You know, no matter how sick I got, I could still be funny. I mean, I had a psychotic break and I ended up in the hospital for 2.5 months up in Canada. And they said the only reason they kept me was because of my sense of humor, even though I was like really sick at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you say a psychotic break, if you don't mind me asking, like what happened?
Well, I'm bipolar. I found out I was bipolar, and once I started treating that and getting that in check, I was able to manage, you know, my drugs. I was able to put them away once we got my mental state stable. Do you know what I mean? And I guess, what was the question again? What the psychotic break was like for you? Like, what symptoms showed? Okay, I was on tour. I was on tour up in Canada, and the last week I was so insane they wouldn't let me on stage. And then the next day I was supposed to go home, so I'm in the lobby of the hotel waiting for the airport shuttle. And I'm sitting there apparently in my underwear and a t-shirt, and this is like in December. And instead of going to the airport, I went to the hospital. So I basically was completely insane. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know I couldn't figure out why there were so many Canadians. It just baffled me.
Wow, he didn't even know what country.
Were there any like auditory or visual hallucinations happening or anything?
Oh yeah,
like that?
both.
I didn't realize I was diagnosed bipolar 2 when I was 19, and I don't really know what the 2 means. I never looked into it because I don't like reading symptoms, because then I'll start feeling them even if I did it before. But it was only recently that I had a friend pass away, and he was never diagnosed. I thought it was schizophrenia, but I didn't realize until I started researching it more that a lot of the symptoms that show in schizophrenia are also like symptoms of bipolar disorder. I always thought bipolar disorder was just sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. There's no real reason why. And
there's no middle ground. You're either up or you're down, but there's no middle.
Yeah.
And now that I'm on the right meds, there's a middle ground. Now I wonder if the psych meds, though they've stabled me mentally, I wonder if they've hurt my creativity. And I think that's why a lot of people stop taking their meds. But if I stop taking my meds, I make some really bad decisions.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great point. I know that I struggle with that personally. Like I don't like I like the way my brain works as much as it tortures me sometimes.
right.
So that was a big it was a big factor in me deciding or delaying taking medication because like I don't want to. I know it's broken, but but this is how I'm used to operating. So I'm used to writing. This is like I don't want everything about, and it doesn't. It doesn't change you. It enhances.
Right.
It allows you to actually be yourself. It's crazy.
I actually thought I was just moody, and I was allowed to be moody because I was an artist. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
That's what I keep telling myself.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great point though. It's such a that it is so crazy because when you think of, like I always get tripped up when you start talking about the workings of the brain because essentially it's our brains talking about itself and thinking
Right.
about itself, and how is that even possible? And when you're in a situation like that where it's like your brain is troubled and
Right.
it is trying to, so for some reason trying to prevent you, putting these ideas in itself to prevent you from making it better, like it is like it's like evolution. Everything wants to survive, even a disease.
Right. Right. But I mean, being by mental illness is no joke, and I'm glad with the Simone Biles coming forth in the Olympics with the mental problems. I thought that shed a lot of light on it. You know what I mean? Because it's no joke.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is people can't see it. It's like if you break your arm, you get a cast, and everybody goes, "Oh, look, you got a broken arm." But if you break your brain, they still just see you.
Right.
They don't see. There's no cast on your head that says my brain is broken.
Yeah.
And then people are afraid of you, and people think it's contagious. I don't know how mental illness can be contagious, but there are people that think it is. And when you talk about it openly, it turns some people off. They shy away from you.
And how badass was she, man? You brought up Simone Biles. She competed, left, took a week off, and came back and got a bronze medal. Now that's fucking awesome. And she said one thing. She said, "This medal means more to me than any of my gold medals." And that's when I realized how serious it was to her.
Right.
Yes.
I thought when she dropped out of the team finals and they took a silver, I thought hers was more of a participation medal because she didn't really participate at all. She didn't earn that medal. She had nothing to do with it.
No, that was the other team. That's the team. And like you say, what I think she said this, it's not her quote, but it's okay to not be okay.
Right. It's something like that. She said something like that.
Yeah, it's okay to not be
okay. And she got afraid. She had the twisties, they call it.
Inverted, where up is down and down is up. So
right. And she got lost in the air.
And that's dangerous.
She could have really hurt herself.
Correct.
That's nothing to fool around with.
Because we've talked about mental illness, addiction, so it's kind of became the accidental theme of this interview. What I want to make sure that I put information up for people that are watching and they feel inspired to take a step in a right direction. Is there a particular organization or anything that you would recommend for somebody that's wanting to go down the road of recovery?
You just have to do it. You just have to commit to it. You have to go to a lot of meetings. You have to read the literature. You have to get a sponsor. You have to, there's things you need to do to keep everything in check. And it's kind of like, I grew up where you were supposed to get your shit together. Right? Get your shit together, man. And what you do is you end up with a bag of shit. You end up with a bag of shit. So what you got to do is take that gunny sack full of shit and cut a hole in it and get rid of it. So you're not carrying it around anymore, and you can be a little lighter in the load you're carrying. So
fertilize the trail.
Right. And what you do is you make amends to your past, and you forgive yourself for the things you did, which probably weren't all that, what's the word I'm looking for?
Becoming.
Things that weren't really proper things to do.
Yeah.
Just bad.
Yeah, some bad things. Like, I had a couple of cups of coffee in jail due to my addictions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scare. I was in a holding cell in Los Angeles, and there's 39 gangbangers and me.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic about nonviolent offenders being put.
We'd be here all day on that. I know that.
Going to jail for a drug sentence could inadvertently become a death sentence because of let's just put all the bad people in one place.
That's
The fact that people that are struggling with addiction are even considered bad is
what I always found unusual was that marijuana was considered a Class A narcotic. I thought that was the dumbest thing ever by the United States.
But go take that hydrocodone though.
Right.